I'm in the middle of building a bed frame out of poplar, and I need to figure out what finish will look best. Stick around for the experiment. I'm really interested in these three finishes. I have never used these before. I want to see how they look on poplar. I'm also going to experiment with some shellac and stain. This experiment will determine whether I'm going to finish the poplar or paint it. This is one of the posts for the bed frame. I didn't know how the finish was going to look on edge grain and face grain. This is 1x material glued into a 4x4. I'm going to experiment on the edge grain and the face grain and see how they turn out. This has been sanded to 150. All these scraps have also been sanded to 150. So let's get started. This has been my go-to finish. This is a great finish. I would say it's more like polyurethane. You have to put multiple coats on, but it dries hard as can be. And I do like the satin finish. I'm more of a satin guy than a gloss. At the end, I may try to put some lacquer over the top of a couple of these, see what it looks like. Let's get started. I'm going to save the shellac for last. There's a time limit that you have to adhere to put the stains on after your shellac. So I'll save that for last. I'll start with a tried and true, and I'm going to try to follow the manufacturer's directions. This just says to apply a very thin coat. The more you buff, the better it looks. Very thin coats and wait 5 minutes, so I'll set the timer. We'll move on to this Odie's. Now, this is the only instructions Odie's gives you. I did go to their website and they recommend these pads, so I bought a box of 20 of these pads and cut them up. They say this little goes a long way for this stuff, so we'll see. Tell you to work it in a circular motion. Now, they say to leave this one on for an hour. Time's up on the tried and true, so I'm going to wipe that off. Now, the tried and true, you can't put another coat on for 8 hours. Now, with Rubio, they have a hardener. You can actually put the A on, but it just takes a long time for it to dry compared to if you mix it with the hardener. This Rubio is definitely too dark for my project, but we'll give it a try and see what it looks like. This is a 3-to-1 ratio, 3 parts A, 1 part B. Rubio's directions, sand to using the rules of the art. That's just great. So this one you work in for 5 to 10 minutes and then wipe it up after 15 minutes. Kind of looks like stain without using a sealer. Kind of blotchy in the white spots. This is poplar. Time for the shellac. Shellac is such an easy finish. I love it. Inexpensive, really easy to work with, dries fast, and you can burnish it down to a really nice smooth finish. So what's not to like? Easy to apply with these foam brushes, and it'll dry quick. I'm going to put some on these scrap pieces to test some stains, and I might even give that Rubio a chance with a sealer. That Rubio is pretty blotchy. Okay, it's been an hour, so I'm going to remove the Odie's. Oh boy, that's a really nice finish. Smooth as can be. Much smoother than tried and true, but you can feel the grain, and this is just really smooth. This is very smooth as well, just blotchy. This is pretty rough. Have to sand that down. This one I can't touch for 8 hours. This one I can get to right away. Okay, with the shellac, I'm going to go ahead and sand that. Usually sand with 220. I'm going to put one more coat on this one. I have just a tiny bit left of the Rubio, so I thought I'd give it a shot on this scrap of walnut. These two I want to try stain. I have some gel stain. Give that a shot using a folded up rag. Now I should be using a de-waxed shellac, but I don't have de-wax, so that's what I got. I'm going to order my own shellac flakes. So I'm going to put the same stain on this piece, no shellac. Try this stain as well, one shellac and one without. No shellac on this one. Yeah, just really blotchy. Well, this Rubio on a walnut is just really nice. Nice and smooth to the touch compared to the raw wood. I would definitely use this on walnut. Just not on poplar. Well, thanks for sticking to the end. Got to decide on which one I'm going to use for my project, and I think I'm going to go with the shellac just because of how easy it is to apply and how fast it dries. So, and I like the way it colors the wood. All of them tint the wood nicely, except for the Rubio, of course. To the touch, I like the Odis. The bed frame will just be way too much to be rubbing and buffing all that oil into the wood. So definitely shellac. My favorite to the touch is Rubio. On this walnut, I don't know how to explain it, but the feel is just beautiful. Nothing like any of these. The Odis is close behind. I think another coat and another buff would get the same feel as I get with the Rubio. But that Rubio is just gorgeous. Close second is the spray lacquer. I took a piece of raw wood and went and sprayed a couple coats of lacquer on it. But it's just too noxious to use indoors. It's winter in Alaska. I'm not going to be opening up my shop anytime soon. So it's a beautiful sheen, but it's a real nice feel to the wood as well. The tried and true, it just takes too long to dry between coats. You put a thin coat on, you have to wait 8 hours before you burnish and put another coat on. I'll probably save this for my cutting boards since it's food safe. I've also been using these white pads for burnishing between coats on a shellac. And boy, it's a lot nicer than using a steel wool. And I think I'll start using these from now on. I do like the way the stain came out with the shellac. You can tell without the shellac that it's just going to get too blotchy. Here's stain with shellac. Stain without shellac. And you can see it's just going to be way too blotchy. And just the stress of trying to put all the stain on here and not get any blotches would be too much. I like the color that the shellac is making this wood, so I'm going to stick with the shellac. If you found this helpful at all, please like and subscribe.